Welcome back to another chapter of Stelmo's Rants and Raves. I had to come back today to comment on some of the things that are breaking in the news. Um, First, the president has suspended the federal gas tax. It's 18.4 cents per gallon. And I know why he's doing it. And yeah, I suppose that will somewhat mollify some of the base. But, the problem is these high gas prices are going to create havoc on our economy, far worse than we're at right now. And that's if everything went back to being normal right now. And that's not going to happen. And quite frankly, I'm not exactly sure what how this is going to be resolved because, uh, you know, on another hand, you have the president out there today. He's saying that the ceasefire is unbelievably weak, and I don't even know why we have a ceasefire. We need for this to end, and now that it's started, the only successful way for this to end is to defeat these Iranian mullahs or ayatollahs, religious zealots. They don't care about the Iranian people. They've killed countless people. Sometimes I say to myself, sometimes I can get pessimistic. And I say, well, they don't really want us to find out what happened there in Iran because I think the actual number of people murdered by the government is substantially higher than has been reported. Just 2 days ago, I'm reading and seeing pictures of more Iranian protesters that are being murdered. Donald Trump, at one point in time, months ago, said, hey, he had those people's back. He recommended they go out in the street. He told them, hey, if they start killing you, I got your back. Well, I don't see where you have their back, Mr. President. I don't see it at all. You got mad when the German prime minister or chancellor, or whatever the heck the character is called, said that the Iranians were playing you. You got mad. You announced you're taking troops out of Germany. Well, the reality is I think the same thing. I look at what's going on. I can't figure it out. Why is there a ceasefire? We have to win this war, and the sooner we win it, the sooner we'll get back to normal. And no, it's not going to be an easy task. And I don't understand this, but it seems to me that the administration is prolonging the misery, and I just don't understand that. I cannot put my arms around it and say, look, this is why it's happening. I really can't. And it is a weak ceasefire. I mean, we've fired some rockets off. They've fired some rockets off. The Israelis have fired some rockets off. And then they say, yeah, but it's still a ceasefire. Well, my definition of ceasefire is apparently a little bit different than the one being used today. So, and in that regard, I get upset with the Democrats always changing the definition of words to confuse our language. And I think it's happening here. And then the president says he's disappointed in the Kurds for a lack of uprising in Iran. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems to me like a month ago, the Kurds were making a move. It seems to me, Mr. President, that you come out and said that you didn't want them doing that. So one of the things, when you're going to fight a war, you got to, because you have all these different elements, and you have to make sure all of the elements are on the same page. And I'm not even sure they're in the same book at this point, because it seems to me that there is no plan, and if there is a plan, they're keeping it close to the vest and not letting us know, which I just think that's problematic as well. I've been saying for a long time that they need to get weapons to the Iranian people. The CIA and the Mossad both have numerous agents in that country, and I have to believe that they should be capable, especially under the current circumstances, to even potentially give the people a week or maybe 2 weeks worth of training before setting them out there to go after what's left of this regime. Now, why that's not happening is beyond my ability to comprehend. It is really, it's mind-boggling. Now, fortunately, the Crown Prince of Iran has gotten some weapons into the country, into people that support his interim role as the leader. I don't know why. Here's what I believe is the big problem, and it's one word, and it's only three letters, OIL. I think they're worried about exactly who is going to control the oil and to what degree. And I don't know that should be the final consideration. I certainly like what the president did in Venezuela. We don't know at this point in time how long-lasting that's going to be. Hopefully it's long-term. Hopefully the people there could actually have free elections and fair elections. And because right now, they're not being ruled by the people that they want to be leading them. And so I think Donald Trump is plotting or planning something similar to have control over the oil coming out of Iran. And I'm not necessarily against that. In fact, I actually support us taking over the damn oil fields. And they need to pay for this war. They need to pay punitive damages in a sort of way. And perhaps we can apply some of that money to our national debt, because that's a problem. We got the national debt as being a problem, and we also have China as being a problem. Now, I mentioned China only because I think, the president is privy to a lot more information than we all are. And I think, well, one thing I've always believed in, I think we should believe people when we say it. And the Chinese have published in numerous books, official books, pamphlets and rules and stuff of their desire to take us out. And I know people, oh no, they're never going to do that. That's crazy. And people can believe that if they want. But I say you got to believe these people when they tell you something. It's like in Iran, when all those people are out in the street shouting death to America. Yeah, I believe them. I believe they want to kill Americans. I believe that regime has killed Americans, and they've gotten away with it with little to no pushback. Were any Americans killed on October 7th when Hamas attacked Israel? Yes, Americans were killed. What has our government done about it? Well, they forced a ceasefire. And part of that ceasefire was Hamas was supposed to lay down all their weapons, which they're not doing. Surprise, surprise. I don't know whoever thought that they would do that right from the beginning. Too bad I wasn't making videos back then, because I'd have come out and said, look, they're never going to put down their weapons. These people only rule by fear. And the weapons are what puts the fear into the people. So I don't know how even that's going to play out. But I know Donald Trump worries and is concerned about his legacy. Well, I think he's done more to damage his legacy recently in Iran. I supported this operation. I support him finishing it. I believe, as much as this is a terrible thing, I think we have to put boots on the ground. We have to get the Strait of Hormuz open. Not having it open is catastrophic. And every day it's getting worse and worse, and we're going to start to see more and more of the repercussions. And I know a lot of times I'll keep mentioning this, there's the law of unintended consequences. There's going to be consequences from this thing that nobody's looking at or considering right now. But don't get me wrong, we're going to find out in due course, because they're going to be real things. They're not just going to disappear. And we're going to have to live through them. These are really challenging times for us to live through. And when you can't figure out your own government, especially a government being run by the party that you support, it becomes, I don't know, it becomes harder and harder. And I become more and more cynical that we're going to make it through this in one piece unscathed. I'm not sure that that's going to be the outcome. I hope I'm wrong. I always say that. I hope I'm wrong when I see all these terrible things in our future. But I just don't see, I don't see how this is going to play out well. I don't see how it's going to play out well. But it is what it is, and I'm going to let you go with that. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe. Crazy world out there, as we all know, and keeps getting crazier. And we got to deal with it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.